Hey folks, how are you? Happy what day is it today?
It's June 12th, Wednesday.
Wednesday. We haven't come on in a while, but we're here and we've got some interesting clips to share with you. We're going to wait till a few people come on. Interesting clips to share with you concerning Brad Delp, who, as you were saying, he was born on June 12th, 1951. You know, Brad Delp would be 73 years old today. And what a wonderful world it would be if he was still around. But we're losing a lot of people. We just lost him too early. He was 55 years old when the lead singer of Boston died. Ronnie Platt's coming up of Kansas, and you cut up that interview. And it's interesting, like the fact that we were talking about John Lennon passing away. And to me, after John Lennon, the first big one, and it was quite a few years later because John Lennon was 1980 and this is 2007. But the one that hit me the most after John Lennon was Brad Delp. Let me just do that.
Sorry.
There you go.
Thanks.
It's finally came up. Oh, was there a commercial playing?
It
Is that
was,
why?
yeah, sorry.
Yeah. We're gonna wait till a few people come on, and you can share your thoughts on Boston and or Brad Delp, or did you ever meet the guy? I mean, we're gonna talk to a whole bunch of people that most of the people that are on today from the band Toto, Kansas, and two members of Boston. They most except I don't think Ronnie Platt of Kansas met him. I'm not sure. He might say in the clip he did because when I do an interview, just so that you know, I do an interview and then I'll hand it over to Shannon and she'll cut it up for me. And she takes out all my ahs and all the mistakes that I make. Or if
And make you sound incredibly pretty.
Thanks.
And
Appreciate
very well while you are together,
but even better.
Extra together.
Even better. Anyway, so we're going to play the clips for you in a second, but we're just waiting for a few more people to come on. We'll wait till about 50, and then you'll hear all these people. Like I said, everyone, I think, except Ronnie Platt of Kansas, who knew him well. Steve Lukather of Toto has this thing where after his first divorce, what he did is he was feeling really bad, and you'll hear this in a second. And he went off and he just has such nice things to say. And who could forget? You know, I mean, really. I'm getting a little bit of glare. There you go. This one doesn't have glare. This one rather. These are all the remastered copies. I remember the record company sent these to me. The record guy in Calgary here knew that I was like the biggest Boston fan. I just love Boston so much, and he didn't even ask me if I wanted them. He just sent them to me. Even this one, hold on, there you go, doesn't have the famous picture of the bands. I've got the picture disc behind us that I bought. Well, you can see it really well. Okay. And the first two Boston albums. I did buy Third Stage. Technically, I didn't buy it. I got it from someone. Let me see where we're at with the people. 59. Okay. We're going to start playing you some clips. Like I said, we've got, I think, 4 Barry Goudreau clips. Barry was one of the main guitarists in Boston and was related to Brad, which you'll hear in a second for the folks who might not know. Brad took his own life. It was a day that I'll never forget, March 9th. And he was 55 years old in 2007. But he was born on this day. Today would have been his 73rd birthday. And we're going to get a lot of comments coming up. But first, let's just play. We're going to start with Barry since we have a few more Barry Goudreau clips. I interviewed Barry twice when he was releasing his last album. Before we play that, this is the albums. Boston 1, of course, in 1976. Boston 2, Don't Look Back, came out in 78. Then Third Stage in 86 after that long, drawn-out court case, that battle with the record company. The fourth one was Walk On, which did not include Brad. I do believe, if I remember correctly, Brad joined Fran Cosmo on that tour, but he wasn't on the album. The Greatest Hits he was on, of course, that would make sense, in 97, and Corporate America in 2002. And we had a chance to see Boston when we were visiting relatives in Ontario a few years ago. They were playing a big outdoor thing, and at that point, Brad was long gone. And there was a part of me that just went, remember, we were looking at each other going, Tom Scholz will be there, and that's great, but he's the only guy that'll be there. And it's his band. He's the one that created most of the music. I understand that, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get myself to go, and I thought I'd feel bad if I went. Okay, Barry Goudreau, this clip, about the fact that they're related.
Well, some people don't realize that Brad was actually my brother-in-law as well as a bandmate. And, it was devastating. I think anybody who's had somebody close that's died by suicide, there's a certain amount of guilt involved because you weren't able to see that there was really a problem there and you weren't able to, intercede and do something about it. And a good friend of mine had dinner with Brad. I think it was 2 nights before he committed suicide, and they went out and had a great dinner, and Brad was in a good mood, and who would have known? So, it was tough.
It was tough for a lot of people. I remember I created a website. Remember right away, I wanted to create a website for fans, and I bought the URL Brad Delp Tribute immediately. And one of my friends says, "What, are you chasing ambulances?" I said, "No, actually, what I'm trying to do is just have an open forum for people to talk about Boston." Fans always say, "Why isn't Boston in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?" And they should be. It doesn't matter if they only had 2 huge albums. And of course, their greatest hits sold really well, but based on these 2, and then Third Stage did well as well, of course. And that's when I jumped off the boat. But a friend of mine gave me Third Stage, so I always say I bought it, but technically, do you have any comments from people?
Craig Mashad says, too many of them gone now. Mark Stone, there was nobody better than Brad. Chris Householder, LOL, you sound so pretty. Must be talking about you, John. Kim Trickle, hi Kim, nice to have
Kim.
you here.
She's a big supporter.
Chris Householder, I remember it taking forever to get the release of Third Stage. And Sylvia jumped on and said, hi everyone.
When you look at Don't Look Back being 78, and then Third Stage coming out in 1986, music had changed an awful lot by that time, right? I mean, a lot of people were going, like I was 26, you were 16. No, we weren't dating then. Can I hear the ambulance?
Wait, I was in school. I was in what, grade 11 maybe?
Yeah, and those were the days. No, I didn't know her then. I met her in 97. But, really, oh my God. This is no, wrong one. This is the perfect album. But you know what? I like this one because I played this one so much that I ended up never liking this one more, Don't Look Back, but I liked it a lot. Okay, our next clip is with Ronnie Platt of Kansas, and we talk about the precursor to this. As I was saying, I was explaining to him that the death before Brad Delp that bothered me so much. And remember now, just to reiterate, it would have been Brad's birthday today, June 12th. He would have been 73 years old. We lost him on March 9th. He was 55 years old, 2007. Here's Ronnie Platt, lead singer of Kansas. Remember, we talk about John Lennon, and then we take it up right here.
Yeah, because I think you didn't expect John Lennon either, but I mean, it really was a shock when Brad died, and the way that he died was shocking. Boy, I couldn't tell you how many times I've listened to just that beginning part of Something About You. The song, just that very beginning where his voice is angelic on that. It's just, wow. And not to mention the rest of the song is phenomenal. But boy, what a sad thing.
Coming up, we're going to talk to Jim Masdea, who was the original drummer for Boston up until Seb Hashian replaced him. The record company had a problem with Jim, but on the debut, Jim still plays drums on Rock and Roll Band, and he also came back. And according to Jim, it was because Tom Scholz felt guilty. He came back for Third Stage. So he's going to talk. His clip is actually the longest clip, but Jim's a good guy. He's a little long-winded, but in a good way, because when you talk to a guy like Jim Masdea, you kind of wish everyone was long-winded, because from doing my interviews that, you do the clip and it's 20 seconds long. You're going, did he really say anything? Any more comments we want to share?
Yes, Peter M., best debut album ever. Only recently has Hitch a Ride taken over as my all-time favorite Boston song. Simply incredible. Tim went, oh my God, Ronnie from Kansas.
Yeah, Ronnie's a good guy. I'm actually working on a 14-part thing with 4 members of Kansas. I mean, a lot of people have heard that we talked to Rich a little while ago, Tom Brislin, and but we've got 4 members, and I'm working on the whole series. Part 1 or part 2 of Ronnie Platt's coming up tomorrow, and I forget what we're talking about. Oh, we talk about, it's not Brad Delp, but we talk about his favorite singer of all time, and it's not Steve Walsh, who was the original singer of Kansas. So I don't want to get off track, but there we go. This one here is, I tell Barry, am I wrong to say that didn't Brad Delp record with you just as much as he recorded with Boston? So here's clip number 3 with Barry Goudreau, famous for being the second guitarist in Boston.
Yeah, actually, he was on the solo record I did. He did some writing on the Ryan the Hunter album. We did the RTZ record, and we actually released 2 other RTZ records of material that we had been working on that weren't released from our major label. And then he and I did the Delp Goudreau CD. So, between that's more material than on the Boston record.
Yeah, the Delp Goudreau, I was listening to that this morning. I pardon my ignorance, I didn't know it existed. I listened to it this morning. I'm going, holy snapping turtles, that's good.
Well, that's something that just we self released that. It's something I did in my home studio. I was just working on some song ideas, and asked Brad to come down and sing over them. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4 songs, and then it gets to the point where it was a whole album's worth of material. And I said, well, what do you say we just put it out on our own? So we did. And there's some good songs there. And the lead song on the CD is called "What You Leave Behind." And if you listen back to that song, it's kind of haunting, because it's almost like Brad was trying to tell us something. Of course, that's looking at it with 20/20 hindsight, I suppose.
Of course.
Wow. Huh? You never know how long and how many days you've got. By the way, yeah, I'm wearing my Boston t-shirt. You have no idea, but rock stars have this. And that's the thing. When one of your heroes dies, they're larger than life. If they're not on TV, they're on stage. And they seem larger than life in so many different ways. And you always assume, for whatever reason, because we need them so badly, that they're going to be around forever. And no one knew what was going on with Brad. Got some
Popeye Olive Oil. Aloha from Maui got inspired by the song "Don't Look Back." Rick Top 40 Hub. I saw Boston 78 with Brad at the Pacific Coliseum. He was such a great singer, even live. I recorded the concert on cassette tape. And by the way, he has the same shirt you do.
Oh yeah, I think I bought this from HMV. Oh, I did buy it from HMV.
Tim Went said, huge fan of Kansas in your interviews with Rich. Thanks for bringing these legends to us.
Thank you for watching them. Really appreciate it. You're very welcome.
Robert Shirley thought this was going to be a factual bio on Brad Delp, including warts and all of the tragedy that was Brad Delp and the personality of Tom Schultz. And the controlling personality of Tom Schultz.
There's nothing in the title that says we're going to be talking in depth about Tom Schultz, and that's not what we're doing. He was as he said. I don't want to paraphrase his suicide note, but that he was a lonely man or a sad man. But don't quote me on it. But there was things concerning his girlfriend's younger sister, and accusations that he was trying to take pictures or something with a camera, and it was and he felt really ashamed and embarrassed by it. So that's the part of it, and you can look that up. It's out there. But right now we're concentrating on the music and how it affected you in the music. Have you met Brad? Did you ever meet him? Did you see him in concert? The next clip is with Steve Lukather. Steve's going through a divorce at the time. and he has some really nice things to say about Brad Delp. We've interviewed Steve Lukather on this channel, I think 5 times. We just saw him backstage when they came
4
to
or
Calgary.
5, yeah.
Yeah, we just came backstage and had a chance to meet the entire band again. And so we've always had a nice connection with the band Toto. And I was pleasantly surprised that we had a chance to talk about Brad Delp with Steve Lukather of Toto.
Oh, geez, that was wow. That was when they opened up the Cabo Wabo Club in 1990. I had just been going through my first divorce, and Ed called me. He goes, "You're coming with me to Cabo," because I was really down and out. I was really depressed and bummed out. And he goes, "Come on, you're coming. We're gonna open the club, and you'll come up and jam with us." I'm like, "Okay, man, I'll come down and hang," And me and Ed stayed in this beautiful apartment right on the tip of the ocean, man. And we had some great bro time together, you know what I mean? And I was able to be a part of that and jump up and jam with them. Brad Delp, what a lovely guy. Yeah. He came up to me and he just
gave you a little hug there in the beginning.
Oh, but I have such respect for him. I'm a Boston fan. I think Tom Scholl's brilliant. What they did, that's a very unique sound. And Brad, his voice and those tunes, they're timeless. Maybe it's not everybody's cup of tea. My music isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I came up around the same era and was very inspired by that. And when I never met anybody else. I never met Tom or anything like that, but did meet Brad there, and he was just the nicest, sweetest cat, humble, and obviously his voice is insane. Hard too, and they were just up there jamming on jam tunes, and it was like we had a ball. He was great. God bless him. Another painful loss for us all.
Steve Lukather of Toto talking about meeting and hanging with Brad Delp of Boston after his first divorce, where he was, I always say, licking the floor with pain. That's my words. He didn't say that, but I used to use that as a description for people going through breakups. You got some more stuff for us?
Angel's Vinyl Planet. I saw Brad Delp for the first time live in 1990. The band Giant opened the show. He was so happy and full of life. What a show. Still miss him. We truly lost a vocal legend. Yeah. And Sylvia chimes in, Brad, one of the best frontmen in rock.
No, when you look at how it was produced, and it was impossible to reproduce what they did on the Boston albums with the echo but someone recently put up, and I can't play music. We just did a thing on Linda Ronstadt and Andrew Gold and the end of You're No Good. And I was surprised by how many people complained that I didn't play the ending, because the whole video was about how they created the ending of You're No Good. And I'm always surprised by people thinking we can play copyrighted material. We can't. Some people take a chance, right? They take a chance.
And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
But you could lose your channel. You could do 3 things and you could lose your channel for good, and that's it. You find yourself a job, because this is our job. This is kind of like what we do. Today would have been Brad Delp's 73rd birthday. It's one of the reasons we're coming on today and tipping our hat to one of the greatest singers of all time. He was born, are we expecting somebody?
Not that I...
He was born June 12th, 1951, 73. This is our front yard here, by the way. That's why I said that. He died March 9th, 2007. He was 55 years old. Oh, we're getting the package. And what's our next clip? We've got, Barry Goudreau of Boston. He's going to talk about, guitar. The interesting thing, I remember one day Boston has so many guitarists, and there's their lead singer playing guitar on stage. So this is Barry Goudreau, known as the second guitarist in Boston for a few years, and he's one of the more famous members of the band. No longer with them, but here we go.
Early on he played a lot more. Early on he played on probably 2/3 of the songs. He was a decent player. I think he would have preferred not to have to play guitar, which, eventually when Tom added more members to the band, I think he played less and less guitar. I don't think he was playing much at all by the end.
You can tell his whole persona changes. And I asked him in the beginning, I says, Barry, I have to ask you about Brad. Our audience will chew my head off. And he said, no. He says, everyone asked me about Brad. He said, but it's still hard for me, because that was Barry's brother-in-law. he says it's still a very difficult situation to talk about a man that I loved. You know, they were like brothers. So, but you can tell when he talks about him, right? Do you have any things we want to share?
Yeah, Tim says, blessed to see Boston many times. The first in 1980 with Sammy Hagar. I remember seeing Boston around 1992, and Fran Cosmo backed up Brad. Brad quipped then Fran, but was there to hit the high notes.
You know, I've been talking to Fran off and on for about a year, 2 years now to sort of get Fran on the channel and we can talk about stuff. He's reluctant, I think I can say this, to talk about Boston. And there's obviously things because of legal situations. Maybe he doesn't want to say things because of Tom Scholes. I don't know. But he's reluctant to come on. And basically, I think we can get him on. So Fran's still doing shows all the time. And he's just one of those guys that we want to get on. And he knew Brad really well. So obviously they toured together. And here's speaking of the early days in Boston. This is our next clip is Jim Masdea, who was the original drummer for Boston when it was just Tom Scholes and Jim Masdea and Brad Delp. At one point, there was just the three of them working on this stuff. And then, of course, it grew, and the record company says, no, we want another drummer. They got Sib Hashian, who's also passed away, to join up and do the stuff. And if I remember, Dwayne Johnson's married to Sib Hashian's, I don't know if they're still married, I haven't checked in a while, daughter. Yeah, the drummer for Boston, his daughter is married to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So at least they used to be. Here's Sid Hashian, who plays on Rock and Roll Band on the first album and half of Third Stage. Here we go.
I was getting ready. I had a tune I wanted to do called Stonecutter, and I was going to call Brad to have him work on it. He had worked on a song of mine years ago, back in when I had my house in Watertown, a song called Sultan's Queen. I can't find it now. I think I've lost it. And amazing, and his voice. So, and Barry did the solo. Barry did the leads, not for me. And then it was like I was ready to do some stuff, and I was going to contact him, and then he did it. And I, for a while, I blamed myself, saying, Jesus, if I only called him up, maybe I could have broken his mood, and he was, oh, let's work, and got excited about something. But again, you can't blame, you can't blame yourself for that stuff. But so other than that, that's the last time, memories of him, again, were always, the guy had the most dry humor, and he was a Beatle freak to the last second, Every rehearsal we had, it always ended on Beatle tunes. Doesn't matter what we were working on. The last 2 or 3 songs were Beatle tunes. And Brad knew every lyric and every vocal part of every Beatles song ever written. And I told my friends, I said, listen, Brad is better than the Beatles. Because when he did Beetlejuice, each singer, if it was Lennon, McCartney, Harrison, even Rick, he sounded exactly like them, only better. Because he is truly the best singer.
Do you know if you ever met them? Do you know if you ever met any of them?
I know he something years later, I think he went to like a McCartney show or something. I don't know if he got to meet him, but I think he may have gotten a gift from someone. Someone may have sent him a crisp, something like that. But Brad, again, Brad wasn't a trained singer. He imitated them, and he developed a great pop vocal, because with pop singing, you sing lower register, but then like classical singing, they have a falsetto, but it's a distinct. They're going, and they hit the falsetto, they go into this falsetto. Pop style, you mask it. You sing lightly in the lower register, and as you get up into the higher register, you're kicking harder, and you get higher range, and you don't really hear the cross. You make the falsetto sound, you're making the full voice sound a little like falsetto a little like not, so it kind of blends it. So Brad developed that ability by just, because that's what they did. And they were so good. And then he's better because, again, he just had a better natural talent. his quality of his voice. I said this up a number of people. Steve Perry is closest, I think, to Brad, whereas their quality of their voice was more important than anything. Whereas someone like Freddie Mercury or Steven Tyler, the quality wasn't there. They were showmen. And so part of it, their showmanship, and then they had height, but they didn't have good quality throughout their range. So no one really comes close other than those two guys, as far as I'm concerned.
That's Jim Masdea, who was the original drummer for Boston before Sid Hapshian came in and played on the first album. Jim did play on Rock and Roll Band and came back and played on half of Third Stage with Sib Hashian on the other half. So do you have any more comments? Or
Sasha and Savisha, what a band, what a voice.
Yeah, totally. So Brad Delp played on every Boston album except one. There was, of course, I'm looking because of the dates, Boston 176, Don't Look Back 78, Third Stage 86. That was a gap that was painful for fans. Walk On came out in 94, and Fran Cosmo was the singer, but Brad Delp joined him on that tour after. The Greatest Hits in 97, of course, and Corporate America in 2002. And he would have been 73 years old today. We have one more clip from his brother-in-law and bandmates, and they played together in and out of Boston a lot, Barry Goudreau. But we lost Brad Delp March 9th, 2007. He was 55 years old. Here is a fan question from a longtime follower of our channel who asked the most poignant question, the only real question, but there you go.
Oh, memories of Brad. Wow. I mean, he was such an incredible vocal talent. I've said this to other people. If Brad was sitting next to you and he was singing, it sounded as though it was going through thousands and thousands of dollars worth of processors, but it wasn't. It was just the way he sang. And when I'd record here in my home studio, I'd give Brad a musical track and he'd write lyrics to it. And I never knew what he was going to sing until he showed up and actually sang it. And he would come say, open up a track, and he'd sing through the whole song, very rarely redoing anything. And he said, give me another track. And he'd go over and put another part, give me another track. And he'd do that and layer the whole thing with never having to redo any of the parts. And it just all fit together perfectly. He was really quite a talent.
And there you have it. 73 years old, Brad Delp would have been today. And, would he still be with Boston? I don't know. It's a question I get asked a lot. Like, I don't know. I've talked to 2 members of Boston. But a lot of people, if I, at the last minute this morning, figured out, oh, no, it's Brad Delp's birthday. Then I quickly looked up and, said, 73 years old. Then I looked at the date. He was 55 years old when he passed away in 2007, March 9th. We'll do another thing. We'll probably do this again on March 9th. That's a harder date, but celebrating a birthday is a different thing. And so in this, if you missed it, we've had Barry Goudreau for 4 cuts. Kansas Ronnie Platt, the lead singer of Kansas, talked about Brad. Steve Lukather of Toto, and Jim Masdea, the original drummer of Boston. So it's a bittersweet day where we look at his work, because really at the end of it, the music lasts. I know it's so cliche to say that, but it's true. At the end, what we did will still be around, hopefully, right? Or whatever we accomplish in life. Long after I'm gone, hopefully my videos will still be around, unless my younger wife takes them down.
No, I'll keep it
See,
running
you just
for you.
assumed that I'm going first. Well, the numbers. What do we always say? You can't cheat the hangman.
I don't assume anything. Real fast here, Char Canuck said Boston, Toronto, 1977 Maple Leaf. Garden's a great concert. Chris Householder said, love Jim's drumming on Rock and Roll Band, such power. Then you had those guitars and Brad. Forget about it.
Well, you've heard over and over again, everyone can't talk about Brad Delp without mentioning the vocals. Of course, that's your reputation precedes you. And as we always say on this channel, what is not our business? It's reputation. Reputation is someone else's business. You can't decide, even though we have politicians and some musicians who try to just tell you, I think your guy's here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Try to tell you, we just put in a new furnace today. Yeah, it's so hot, we're putting in a furnace, but we'd rather do it now than do it
Get
in the
done.
winter.
Exactly.
So, anyway, there's a little glitch on it, so you can go down. That's him.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
do that. Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, there's something with the humidifier, so I'll get closer to the microphone. I'm gonna come off pretty soon here, because our daughter's gonna come in, and when our autistic daughter comes home, she's very animated. There's a diplomatic way of saying it. We don't know why she just gets that way. Anyway, I don't want to talk about that. The bottom line is, it was Brad's birthday. He would have been 73. He was born June 12th, 1951. And man, what a loss that was. Anyway, we're going to try to celebrate the moments that are important as we're going through. Oh, who's that?
Sorry, that was really fast. Just
Who was that?
dropping off a package for Chase.
Oh, okay. And yeah, that's it. I think we're good.
Thank you. Always a pleasure having you with us.
Yeah, we
And,
enjoy you coming on here. Share your videos if you know a Boston fan. That Boston fan will probably appreciate some of these clips of people just tipping their hats and remembering very fondly one of the greatest singers of all time, Brad Delp. So remember, if you want to support the channel, you can join our Patreon, get early access to our videos, and you can also. There's another thing you can, if you want to make a donation to the channel, there's always a PayPal link in the description. But subscribe, like our videos, share them on social media, comment on our videos, and that's what we ask.
And we have so many interviews coming out. We have just been powerhousing through many interviews, so we'll have a lot coming out in the next month, 2 months for sure.
Shannon learned Final Cut Pro because she says, how far behind are you? I said, I think I'm 40 interviews behind.
He's far behind. So I'm happy to step up to the plate and help out. So there'll be some great interviews coming up.
Carmine Apiece next week. We've got at the end of the month Lawrence Gowan, but so many things coming out. So, and join our mailing list. We're supposed to say newsletter. No one likes hearing.
Join our newsletter.
It's in the description, and you'll never miss a video. Take good care of yourself.
Bye.
Brad, we miss you. John
Thank you.
Bowden, Shannon Edwards, Rock History Music.